Hey guys, it's Tuesday, and I'm Emery, and we're talking about trans fetish. Trans fetish. This is a topic I'm a little hesitant to be talking about such a serious topic at the moment. People like to argue about this, I think. People like to argue in general, but I feel like I need to I've spoken about this on my personal channel, and I think the video is viewable by link. If anybody wants that link, it's a little controversial, and I didn't make it completely public. Fetishizing, I don't think is necessarily a word, but it's the word that we've been using, sort of like misgenderism, MQ-ism. Okay, a excessive and irrational commitment. I think that the topic is meant to talk about like a sexual fetish. I don't want to presume, but that's what I think when I think of fetish. Like, you know, people have a fetish for feet. Who am I to judge that? Also, who am I to judge someone who has a fetish for trans people, as long as the trans people that they are hanging out with are okay with that. It is very offensive to say that you have a trans fetish, I think. You know, I don't think it's necessarily offensive to have a trans fetish, but when it's put out in the public and in the media, which is how this conversation got started the first time I talked about it. We're talking about trans people in the media and the porn industry. And, you know, the main point that I try to get across a lot, and that I think a large portion of the FTM community would like to be heard, is that we are no different than cisgendered men, period. Bodies are all different shapes and sizes and all that, and hormones are all different in a bunch of different people, and socialization is different everywhere and in different groups. I personally think that I am no different than a cis man, but I do understand the other side of the argument, and I'm sorry if that's an unpopular opinion, but I do understand. I do know trans men who identify as queer, genderqueer trans men. And at the beginning of my transition, so did I. And behind closed doors, I think my masculinity is something different than I would like it to be perceived in the community. And I think that that's okay to say for me. And I think that that goes for cis men as well. I don't think that has to do with being trans. But when it comes to the public eye, and people having fetishes for trans guys, it's pretty offensive, because we are human beings with emotions and feelings, and we're not an object to be fetishized. In the queer community, it's a little bit different, and I don't think that that has anything to do with the term fetishizing. And I think that it can get a little bit blurred. You know, there's the media and the fetishizing in the porn industry, and maybe some people who are less queer aware, educated, immersed in the community that is the awesome queerness of gender, that don't really understand that that a large portion of the FTM community is just completely male. They're just on that side of the spectrum, and they don't want to be identified with being trans, other than like the brotherhood or whatever you want to call it. Like, you know, we have each other and we have this, and we can talk about things, and there are things that we need to talk about. But when it comes to relationships and sexual stuff, it has nothing to do, like, we are male, don't fetishize me. So I really hope I'm making sense, but when you drop the term fetishizing and you get into that middle queer area, that I think can get blurred with that, because there are people who don't identify to the far side of the binary, to the far male side of the gender binary, who are okay with other queer people seeing them as trans and being attracted to them as trans because that's who they are and they're attracted to them as a person. You know, it has nothing to do with just getting turned on by the fact that they're trans. Although it may be a turn on, but who am I to judge somebody's turn on? You know, I don't know. This video probably isn't very entertaining, and I feel like it's not always about entertaining, but sometimes it's about actually talking about these topics. I don't know, whenever we talk about things like this, I always feel like there are things that I leave out and I want to add in, and somebody's going to call me out on it, or I didn't properly represent somebody or something. But I'm sorry if that's how you feel, and I love you guys.